What's up, everybody? Today is another episode of What I Watched 2023. This is going to be covering everything that I watched in the month of September. Yes, I know this is quite a bit late. I've waited long enough to do this. There's some movies on here that I'm probably not really going to have good memory of, depending on whether or not I like them. So let's just get straight into it. We got Fire in the Sky. This is an alien movie released in 1993 based on a true story. I had heard some crazy things about this film. There's one specific sequence that is pretty gnarly, pretty intense, but I had known about that going into it, so I was kind of expecting more. So it was a fun watch. I don't necessarily know if I'll watch it over and over again, but I will for sure probably give it one more watch in my lifetime. After that, watched Vivarium from 2019. This has Imogen Poots and Jesse Eisenberg, and I was not the biggest fan. It had cool ideas, just not for me. That's all. All right, and then next up, I'm just going to combine these. We've got A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Part 3, 4, and 5, going from Freddy's Revenge, Dream Warriors, The Dream Master, all the way up to The Dream Child. I like some of these movies. I'm going to be doing a ranking of all the Elm Street films, as well as reviews for each of them. I might just do short reviews. I'm not quite sure yet. But I will say, this was my first time going through the entire franchise. I'd seen the first 4 films multiple times before as a kid, but this is the first time that I've seen them all as an adult, really coherent. And yeah, I'll say there's like 3 or 4 of these films that I really enjoy. After that, watched The Equalizer 3, which I thought was a solid enough entry into the Equalizer franchise. It was a good ending to this trilogy. I didn't care for Equalizer 2, so this was just a big step up from that for me personally, but I don't think I'll rewatch it. If I were to rewatch any film in the Equalizer franchise, it probably would be the first one. Now that I've seen all 3, knowing that Denzel Washington won't return for a 4th one, I'm never going to see these movies again. All right, returning back to A Nightmare on Elm Street, we've got Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, New Nightmare, and A Nightmare on Elm Street from 2010. Next up, I rewatched Talk to Me. This was fantastic. This was, I believe, my girlfriend's first time watching the movie because she was interested, but I personally knew that it was going to be a little bit too chaotic for her, and she did end up liking it. I loved it right out the gate, the first time that I watched it, so I was happy to see it again. She actually did surprisingly like it way more than I expected her to, so that was fun. After that, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. This first Pirates of the Caribbean movie is awesome. It's Gore Verbinski, right, who directed this? Let me double check, right? I think? Yes, Gore Verbinski. I think the dude nails it with this film. It is a little bit long. If I'm going to watch a pirate movie, like, this is going to be the pirate movie that I go watch. After that, Jules from this year. It's got Ben Kingsley, I believe. Yes. Yeah, Ben Kingsley, and it is about an alien who crashes in an older man's backyard. That's all I'm going to say, because that really is the basic premise of the film, and it's a cute, fun watch. It is really high up on my 2023 movies ranked list. It was a really fun time, and honestly, I think I will purchase this film. Next up, we got The Last Voyage of the Demeter. This one was very heavily criticized by, movie critics, and I honestly think that it wasn't as bad as people were saying. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a little bit too long, but I personally got what I wanted from it. I do wish there were a little bit more gore, a little bit more blood, a little bit more killy vampire. A lot of it was this version of Dracula hiding in the shadows, which is okay, but I just personally wanted to see a little bit more. Next up, I watched my second Dario Argento film with Tenebrae. I love this movie. It is a very well done whodunit slasher. If you haven't seen it and you don't mind reading subtitles, definitely go check this film out. I loved it. Next up, we got Pirates of the Caribbean 2, Dead Man's Chest. Another good pirate film. I don't think it's nearly as good as the original, but it's a solid enough follow-up. After that, got a vampire movie titled Kronos. This one is bizarre. It's gross. The bathroom scene, if you've seen it, it's disgusting, even though it's so quick and short. But the actual Kronos device is terrifying and painful. Yeah, it's a bizarre film. I'm glad I watched it, but I don't think I'll watch it again. All right, let's get through these. We got Happiness for Beginners. I did not finish this film. I think I made it like 10 minutes in, not even, and called it quits. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003. This is my first time watching it all the way through. It's a good enough remake. I don't need to see it again. I probably won't see it again, to be honest. I will be doing a ranking and reviews of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise, again, just like Nightmare on Elm Street, early 2024 sometime. but I'll say it right now. If I'm going to watch a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, I'm gonna watch the original. Then I watched Blade 2 for the first time, and yes, I know this is going to be very controversial because this is from Guillermo del Toro. I was not a fan. I know that it's more brutal and more creature effects. It's just a bigger film than the first Blade, but I didn't really care for the first Blade. I didn't grow up with it, and compared to all of the superhero films that I've seen, I just didn't care. I'm excited for a new Blade. I'm excited to see a new R-rated crazy Blade, but I just don't know if we're going to get that. Moving on, we've got Theater Camp, which is a very solid comedy from this year. It's pretty obvious, but anybody who's been remotely involved in theater will get some enjoyment out of it. Then I watched Jennifer's Body for the very first time. I gotta say, I did enjoy it. I'm not the biggest fan of Megan Fox, but I don't dislike her anyway. I thought she did exactly what she needed to do. So I don't love it. I probably would have loved it if I watched it back in 2009. Little 11-year-old me probably definitely would have loved it. But yeah, it's a fun enough watch. And I'm realizing I'm saying that about a lot of these movies. Next up, another movie that I did unfortunately turn off, and that is Robots from 2023. And the cast is actually pretty good. We've got Shailene Woodley and Jack Whitehall, who I like both of those people. They seem like fun, and it didn't work for me. So moving on, we got The Blackening. This was a really, really funny film from this year. Obviously, I'm not black, so there are things that went straight over my head, but for the most part, I really did enjoy this film, and I will honestly probably rewatch it. They did confirm The Blackening 2 is happening, so I'm going to watch a sequel. I had a fun time, and I will watch a sequel. Next up, we got The Expendables 4, or Expend4bles. I also did not make it through this movie. This movie was bad. I really enjoyed The Expendables when it first came out. That first Expendables was kind of just a cool experience for me personally, because my dad and we went and saw The Expendables, and we had a blast, and then we're like, ooh, should we sneak into another movie? And we did exactly that. We snuck into George Clooney's The American, which we both hated. I am not one to fall asleep in movies, but I folded up the seats in a gross movie theater and laid down. So that tells you that. But that's Expendables 1. Expendables 4, I just skimmed through the movie because I heard that, spoilers, Sylvester Stallone's character dies and then is brought back for the final 20 minutes of the movie. It's just so stupid. So Expendables 4, I will never watch again. I'll probably, if this is a big if I were to ever rewatch any of the Expendables, it would be the first one. Next up, we got Bottoms. I was very hesitant going into this film. This is about teenage girls forming a fight club that's not it is a fight club, but it's more so just to get laid. It's funny. It's over the top. There's a fight sequence later on where I'm pretty sure someone's arm gets cut off, and it's a weird, bizarre, fun time. Rachel Sennett and Ayo Edebiri are really, really fantastic. Ayo Edebiri specifically, she's had a gnarly year, and her performance in Bottoms, as well as her voiceover work in TMNT Mutant Mayhem, has definitely led me to want to go back and watch The Bear on FX. Everybody's been raving about that show, but specifically her performance throughout this year has made me want to go watch The Bear. All right, let's cruise through these. We're already at 11 minutes. Next up, we got Leatherface from 2017. I am not a fan of this one. I actually like quite a few of the actors in this film. I thought they all did what they could with the material that they had, but it was a story where I personally knew exactly where it was going. Even if it took some turns, I was like, oh, that is Leatherface, and I don't like it. So that's that. Next up, we got The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. This is a short film on Netflix, written and directed by Wes Anderson, and it's fun. It's 17 minutes. Wes Anderson's released 3 or 4 short films to Netflix this year, and I think they're all really, really good. I think this is my least favorite, but they're all enjoyable, and I will rewatch them all eventually. And I was wrong. I think The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar is 40 minutes. But either way, it was a fun time. After that, Saw X. This is my first Saw film that I've ever seen in theaters. Probably the only Saw film I will ever see in theaters. I don't know. With the success of this film, knowing that they're going to make another one, who knows? I might see it in theaters. I might not. Just depends on how I'm feeling, because I'm not a Saw fan. I like the first one, but I'll never watch it. It's not a film I'm ever going to want to rewatch. I had always got I had the twist ruined for me before I'd ever even seen the film, so there was never really a reason for me personally to go back and watch Saw or any of the other Saws for that matter. I tried watching Saws 2 and 3 and I just didn't care. It was just too gross for me. I like some gross films. Like, there are some films that I own are pretty disgusting, but just for some reason I can't vibe with Saw. And speaking of disgusting though, and speaking of Saw, we've got Audition from 1999. This is I believe it's a Japanese film. This film is pretty rough. Again, I felt like I got the moment a little bit spoiled just because I had seen an image which had a tool in it. I'm trying to avoid describing it because if you haven't seen the movie and you want to, once you know this thing is coming, it's like, oh well, duh, you know. But if you want to watch a very, very thrilling movie, just watch Audition without reading the synopsis or watching the trailer, just because I felt like I knew where certain things were going, and they did go that way, but it was still really, really fun time. Messed up movie, super dark, don't watch with your family. After that, next two options, well, I guess they're totally different, so there's no point in combining them, but we've got The Toxic Avenger, which I did not make it through. I found some bits to be funny, some bits were just, it was just too dumb for me, I guess. And then I guess I'll say I am excited for the new Toxic Avenger, but that was the whole reason why I wanted to watch this one, because of the new one. And I think I'm definitely going to like the new one more, considering I didn't finish this one. After that, finished off the month with the first episode of Gen V, the Prime TV show spinoff of The Boys. Again, I don't think I'm going to continue with this show. I thought the first episode was really well done. Powers were cool. I just think I don't mesh with The Boys like I did. I really did enjoy that first season, but I don't know if I finished season 2. And is there a season 3? I don't even know. Like, that's how little I've really paid attention. And I thought, oh, maybe I'll give Gen V a try, and then that'll get me to go back and watch the rest of The Boys. But that's just not the case. The Boys just isn't for me. And that's not anything against the show. I think it's just because I've had my fill of superheroes for the time being. So that is everything that I watched in the month of September. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to go record my what I watched in October, so be sure to check that video out. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys want to see on my channel down in the comments below. Again, I'm Carter Scotland Allen, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.